Stage 2, creating the progressive die, is the strip layout. So let's click on a strip layout design. Let's give it a name. Bring in our blank or blanks. These do not have to be identical, they can be unique. Let's go to the parameters of the strip and let's take a look at the properties on the left. Left to right, right to left for a progression direction. Our parameters, material, angle, so on and so forth. As you'll see here, we also have an optimize. Currently our yield is 0.39. Let's go through here. Let's add a couple parameters for minimum material and optimize. So very quickly it will go through and try to fit the best situation for the material usage. As we scroll up here, you can see now that we can round off these numbers very easily. We can also modify them at will. So I might want to update these. And now we're at 55. We may want to tell it that we need approximately 9 stations, and 4 will be piercing and 4 will be bending. These are just jump starts, they're not required. This puts into play what features already exist in it, and then we can adjust it as we go. With that completed, we have our strip laid out. You can see that very quickly it was laid out according to some simple parameters. Small piercings first, outer bends first, and then we can rearrange these at will. For instance, if we don't like where this bend is occurring, station 6, bend 3, we can inactivate it. As we zoom back out, you see that 7, 8, and 9 are all updated. So what that goes to is the unprocessed features. So now bending 3 we may want to reactivate by dragging and dropping it to another station. I'm going to drag it back to 6 and it updates 7, 8, and 9. So very quick, process orientated, and the modeling is being handled by SolidWorks. The next stage might be to turn on our embossing features, and we want to put those in station 5. So that's pretty simple to do. Just select the two and they activate in station 5. How about some notching? So let's go to the view that we want to work from, and to get to the notching feature we just select the right mouse button and utilize SolidWorks sketch tools such as some point tools, arcs, lines, splines, whatever tools that you need. You're utilizing the standard SolidWorks toolkit. Dimensions, put some smart dimensions on. So let's say we want an offset material of 2 always, and we want an offset from the bottom of the same. We'd like a offset for some undercut of 1, and finally let's just make sure that these two are always the same. Now we step over to the quick press enhancement tools for sketching. So we have this tool called Quick Sketch, which will take anything inside of this rectangle and trim it up and add the necessary geometry that exists between these two stations. So very quickly we have a complex notch. Let's zoom up on a corner here and talk about some of the other enhancement tools. One's called corner treatment. Corner treatment allows us to simply pick a line and it automatically puts that arc and the trimming process with the dimensions all at once. Let's do that one more time. Do it down below here. Just do a rectangular one, and we'll use the same sizes. Click on that edge, automatically extends, trims, whatever it has to do, making that sketching process very easy. Okay, we have our basic notch completed, and now what we can do is we can activate that. Say that we want to put it in station 3. Okay, obviously that's not what we need, so let's inactivate that and let's split it up. So we just go to that feature and say split. Go back to that view, draw some carrier lines in. This is standard SolidWorks sketching tools. And we can throw some dimensions in to be a little bit more accurate. Once again, going back to here, and let's pick up that edge. Let's make that 0.5. Looks good. Go to that edge, to that edge, 0.5, and very similar here. Okay. Once we have our dimensions in, we complete the process by telling it if I want any undercut automatically added to these notchings. So in this case, I'm going to skip it, but you can also see that you can add corner features at the same time. Okay, so we have multiple notches now that we can activate just by selecting and hit the right mouse button, or we can use the menu picks on the left. So you could just tell it one by one, where do I want that? I might want that in station 5. If that's not where you want it, you can just tell it where you want it. So just pick it, and you can say apply to and pick the station. Okay. Or if you know where they're at right off the bat, you can just take them, tell it exactly where you want them. This one's going to go into station 9, this one's going to go into station 2, and finally this one's going to go into station 3. Now, utilizing that geometry, let's put a pilot in. So let's show the sketch from that. And that would be considered another notching feature. So let's just fit that. Throw a little construction line in there. So center it right on that carrier. And just use a standard circle. We can also pull from our library features if needed. So need a dimension on there. So let's put a smart dimension, and let's leave that at about 5. Looks good, and then all we have to do is tell it where to activate. So let's activate that in station 1. And then we can hide that sketch. And our piercing is occurring all the way down. At any time, you can also ask for a report on the center of force. So let's take a look at that, center of force. And what this does is it brings up an icon illustrating where that center of force is. Here you can see it's the blue sphere. You can also pull the properties, which would be more of the non-graphical information, from file properties. Number of stations, pitch, material utilization. All these can be utilized in notes or bills of materials. They could be linked to other values. So all that is filled in for you. You can even fill in your title block very easily. Let's make an e-drawing out of this. And an e-drawing will allow us to communicate for approval purposes. It will give us the ability to quickly send this instead of printing it and plotting it out and emailing it, or FedExing it, I should say. We can throw some dimensions on here, give the idea where we're going with this design. And e-drawings is part of SolidWorks Office. You get the professional version, which will allow you to do a number of additional things. It's very innovative. It's a compact file format that includes the viewer with it. So with that said, let's build an e-drawing. It's as simple as that. It's one selection, and this file is a separate window, and it can be sent to somebody very quickly by simply hitting the file send, and then of course the client double clicks on it and opens it up, and they get what you see on the screen. Now at this point they can rotate it, they can hit this animation button, which will take it through the different views that already exist. You can put different types of settings such as rotate. You can click on a specific view. Okay, you may want to annotate it and say, you know what, I don't like how close those are, so too close. and rotate it a little bit more, and turns out that station 4 may not even be needed. And I'm going to reduce the cost of my project here, so let's take this out. Okay, so not only are you communicating better and quicker, you're also documenting. So for instance, you can see my login. You could take this and you can reply, rename, and your login would be listed there as the person editing it. So you can accept, reject, and then send it back very quickly. With that completed, we just close that down, go back and make our changes. So we might want to get rid of some of our eDrawings information for a moment and make those changes. And those are fairly simple changes. Let's just go in there and say, you know what, you're right, these two are close, and let's remove that. So what I can do is I could say apply to where? Station 1. Pick OK, and it's up to date. Station 4, yep, nothing's going on, we don't need it. It was just put in there for temporary holding. So let's remove that station, and that would be station 4 at only 1. And now everything's up to date. We have 8 stations, including our file properties I showed you just a moment ago. You could see that a number of stations, the pitch and everything, is the majority of this stays the same. Okay. There are also a number of visualization tools. We can go in here and we can make the transparency of the strip, make it less or more. Obviously by default you're seeing it solid. What this could be very helpful for is that if you would like to superimpose the previous station on the other station. So for instance here, when we get more into our bending station, let me simplify this a little bit by starting out by hiding the entire strip. So let's hide the strip and let's just show the stations that I want to work with. So for instance, stations 5 and 6 and 7, I might want to show those stations. Now what you can see is you can see the previous station coming in to the other station. So it's the transparent object is the previous station. You can also show the entire strip again very easily. Turn off that. And you notice I'm not digging through a lot of menus and so on, so I'm pulling this right from the commands on the screen, making it very easy to learn. At this point, let's move on to the next stage, would be punches.